Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Fitness Show brought to you by UFC Gym of Santa Clarita. I want to welcome everyone to the show today. My name is Ellen Como, and I'm going to be introducing my guest in just one moment. But before we do that, I just want to put out a reminder. I know a lot of you listening to the show right now are driving your cars, aren't you? Well, I want you to be careful. And none of us intend to ever hit anybody with our cars or cause an accident, but it happens. And I just want to remind everyone, when you're driving, please be driving and not doing everything else. You don't have to be texting. That text can wait. And there's a lot of advertisements out there about no texting and driving because you see these horrible accidents and these really sad things that happen. There was one that was really touching, and it was about a little girl that ends up getting killed. And that's great because those are, we need to know that and we need to pay attention. But you know what? Also, don't be doing other things as well. Not just texting, but anything that's going to divert your attention from the road. And why I'm saying that is just recently I was in an accident. Somebody hit me and they didn't intend to, but, and I didn't end up dead or in the hospital, but I also have been left with a lot of injuries that are very uncomfortable and they're taking me a very long time to get over. So this wasn't somebody that intended to get in the car and hurt anybody that day, but because they were not paying attention for that moment, they caused a lot of discomfort, and you don't want to be that person that did that. So think about it right now, today, if you're driving for the rest of the day, if you could just honor all of us in this valley with one day of just completely paying attention to only driving when you drive, that would be amazing, because I think by the end of the day, you're going to realize if you're just paying attention to your driving and nothing else, you're going to see things going on around you. A friend of mine saw four accidents where people were rear-ended in one day in this valley. 4 people were rear-ended in this valley in one day that she saw. So it's happening a lot out here. We're not paying attention. We're getting very lazy about how important it is and what a privilege it is to drive. It is a privilege. It's not something that everybody's entitled to be doing. So it's something that a car is a very dangerous tool and it can do a lot of damage. So pay attention to what's going on in front of you and even on the sides and behind you too, if you can. So maybe you can avert yourself from getting in an accident. And I just wanted to say that and put that out there. So for the rest of the day, and hopefully from all the days on forward, you're going to start paying attention. If for women, please leave your phones in your purse so you can't get them. Men, take your phones, put them away where you can't see them. So put your phones away so they're nowhere near you. And for women, when you're putting your lipstick on, wait, do it in the parking lot, not when we're sitting at the red light, like I will do so many times, and I'm going to try. I'm telling myself I'm not going to do that anymore either. So let's get on with the show after I said that. And I want to introduce Asia to the show. Hi, Asia.
Hi, Ellen.
Asia is one of the coaches at UFC Gym of Santa Clarita. And this is a true story. For months, I've been trying to get her in here on the show because she has a great story about fitness. And I think that's such an important thing is, why do we do what we do? What brought us to this point where we are dedicating our lives to helping others find a healthy and fit lifestyle. And we get to see that such a rewarding career. We couldn't ask for anything more. But we all have our own story of how we got here. And it's really fun to hear those stories because it really tells who we are and it really describes how we teach as well. So Asia, I'm going to turn it over to you and just talk about your journey and how you ended up where you are here today.
Well, I'm glad to share this journey because my journey was actually an unexpected journey. As a child, I was obese, not chubby and cute and pudgy like a little bouncing baby. But by the time I was 13 years old, I was absolutely obese by medical standards. I was about 200 pounds. I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and I was only 13 years old. And at that time, the obesity epidemic was certainly present, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is today. Back then, if you were the fat kid in school, you were maybe the only one or one of two. These days, when I'm dropping my own kids off at school, I'm seeing a lot of very, very heavy-set kids that I relate to. And growing up, I had a lot of reasons that could be contributors to why I was obese. I grew up in a bad neighborhood, so I couldn't go outside and play safely. I was a latchkey kid, so no one was there home making me healthy meals. I was eating what kids eat, candy, chips, soda. And then last but not least, maybe I felt a little safer by carrying the extra weight. But I had two really different examples growing up. I had my dad, who didn't live in the house with us, but was a very, very fit man. He ran marathons. He biked for miles and miles and miles for no reason at all. When he would pick us up, we'd beg to go to the arcade, but he'd take us to the tennis courts or hiking or surfing. And despite our circumstances, he was introducing us to fitness over and over again. One of the things I remember my dad is for parking as far away as possible from wherever we were going. And then while I would complain, he would say, well, you're healthy enough to walk, so be grateful. So I had this very clear example of what a fit and active person looked like. I just didn't see myself as fit and active. What ended up happening is as I grew up and became an adult and a mother, I decided that there was a choice to be made. I hit a crossroads where I was moving into my adult life, somewhat heavyset. I had children who were looking up to me, and I felt like I wasn't representing the kind of woman I wanted my daughter to be. I didn't want to raise heavyset kids, and I was already taking those steps by, preparing healthy food and limiting certain things, but I don't think I was setting that active lifestyle example. It was somewhere along the lines of maybe trying to keep up with my toddlers and realizing they're going to outrun me if I don't become active sooner or later. And that's when I made the choice to become a little bit more active and fit and show them some of the things my dad showed me, that, mom does stuff. She plays tennis, she runs, she bikes. That's what kind of set the standard for me being a fit adult. And as far as coming into the fitness industry, I had decided somewhere when the economy took a turn that I was going to leave the real estate industry, which was just barely hanging in there, and pursue law enforcement. I had wanted to be a police officer when I was little, and the door was still open. I wasn't quite a spring chicken, but I was still young enough to pursue something like that. And so this was in my 30s. I decided to pursue law enforcement. And for the first time ever, I was asked to do things that were extremely challenging. This is beyond in-home workouts, beyond doing the things that I was comfortable doing. This was, I need you to run, 3 miles now. I need you to do 100 sit-ups. I need you to do 20 pull-ups, things I had never been asked to do before. I didn't even know how to do a real push-up at the time that I pursued this career, but I liked being pushed. I was already fit, but I definitely wasn't athletic. Something about training with law enforcement showed me that I was a good athlete, and I didn't know it. I didn't find out I was a good athlete until I was well into my 30s. And that's pretty cool. It's pretty empowering. And it makes you look back and say, wow, I could have been doing this years ago. I just didn't know. Just the same, training with law enforcement started to show me a side of myself that was very assertive, that I could hit a goal, even if it wasn't my own personal goal, even if it was someone else's goal. I need you to be able to run, a mile in less than 8 minutes. I've never wished that on myself. I wouldn't wish that on my enemies. But just the same, being able to hit those goals is what really opened up my eyes to pushing myself as an athlete. So that's how it started. As far as what led me into actually being a group fitness instructor, while I was training with law enforcement, the trainers there saw something in me that maybe I hadn't seen in myself. They were constantly putting me in the forefront. They wanted me to lead the group. They wanted me to show people how to do the stretches. They wanted me to find the new person and walk them through everything. And I became kind of this go-to. So even though my career in law enforcement wasn't advancing, my career in fitness was. Mm-hmm. And they were taking candidates aside and saying, hey, do you want to get in shape? Do you want to get better at this? Go see Star. She can get you in shape. She used to really struggle. Look at her now. And so they were using me as this example, and also kind of by accident sending me clients who needed to hit goals that I had already hit myself. So bit by bit, the law enforcement kind of opened the door to me becoming a personal fitness instructor. And along the way, I fell in love with boxing and kickboxing. And UFC is my home gym. That's where I started out. I've been training with UFC for as long as they've been UFC. So we're talking about a good 4 years or so. And then on top of that, I have another 3 years prior experience in boxing and kickboxing. So somewhere along the way, I figured out that, I had a choice to make about being fit. I figured out that I was a pretty jammin' athlete. And last but not least, I figured out that I was able to teach other people how to do it. So that's how I got here.
Yeah, fitness, we don't usually I should say those of us who stay in the fitness world, usually we don't pick it, it picks us.
I agree.
We don't have any other choice. This is what we're supposed to do. And we can try to walk away from it as many times as we want to, which I've done twice. And what happens is we're right back there again. Something draws us back, and it could be a situation, expected or unexpected. It could be a choice, expected or unexpected, but we get drawn back into what we do. And at that point, we just need to surrender to the point and understand that this is why we're here.
Right. It's a special calling. It's pretty neat. I'm glad you came back both times.
Thank you. Yes, it is a calling, and it's something, some of the best days, like yesterday, I was telling Asia before we went on the air, the members at UFC Gym of Santa Clarita, I have to tell you, all of the members there are looking so good.
They are.
When I started in April. And that's when I brought my classes over there. And it was, a lot of the members were kind of like flailing around through like some classes, but there really wasn't any direction for them. And I'm not saying that happened because I'm there. I'm saying somewhere along the line, I think everybody started to get it.
Yes.
That there needed to be more direction for our members. Mm. And as soon as that started to happen, our members started to change. And they started to realize if I only do boxing every day and I'm not doing either my class of DUT or something with weights,
right.
My body's going to get to a certain point and it's not going to change anymore. Or if I'm only doing this class and not doing another class, my body isn't going to change. They started, and I love it because I think as coaches, we all started, when I came on board, I would literally, someone would walk into my class and I would look at them and say, oh, no, not my class today. You go out there boxing, or there's a cycle class going on. You don't come to my class because that's not going to fit into what you want to do to get your goal done. And then I'd see people doing 3-4 classes at a time. And slowly, I'm still working on it. You probably are too. You don't need to do 3 and 4 classes. But I've had to adjust slightly with our group and allow them to do 2 classes because that's just the kind of people that they are. And you would think you're walking into, the hardcore crazy fitness. You're not. You're walking in. As far as the women and that's who I deal a lot with, the men and the women, but the women, the sweetest. Nice. It's not a clique place. It's not us against them. It's not everybody is on the same page. Everybody's on the same side, and everybody is actually very just positive, uplifting, and open and really receptive. So we have such an amazing group of people, men and women, and they're open to us, to what we're telling them and teaching them, and they're open to each other. And, then right before we went on the air, I just said, Asia, to see the changes in these bodies. I had somebody stand up in my class yesterday and very quiet in the back, doesn't say too much, but is there all the time. And she actually stood up and kind of just blurted out this testimony of, I'm coming here 5 weeks and look at my body. She was just so proud of her body. And I teased her because after she was with me for about a week, she said, I'm already seeing differences. I go, yes, you are, and you will. You're going to continue to see those differences. And I said, and then about 2 more weeks later, I said, has your husband said anything? She's like, no, he said he doesn't see a difference. I go, well, you just keep doing what you're doing. He's going to see it. And so yesterday I said, and your husband? She goes, oh yeah, he totally sees it now. It was very cute how the whole thing happened. And that's what I'm finding over and I've been there now, I guess about 6 months, is I'm seeing, and as the gym is growing, and it is growing every single day as far as members are concerned. And what I'm noticing is every gym has its own personality.
Yes.
They're all very different. And just like a person has a personality, a gym takes over this personality. Our gym, if I were to kind of describe it as a person, it would be that open, friendly person that lifts you up when you're not feeling well, but constantly pushes you to be your very best.
I agree.
I think that would be the personality of our gym, and all of our coaches in that gym are the same way.
I think you are so spot on. The one thing you mentioned was diversifying your workout. And what I love about UFC Santa Clarita is that we've really honed in on that. It's important. You can fall in love with whatever sport or whatever workout you want to. And that love is what's going to make you show up every day. But if you diversify it, you're going to challenge your body in new ways. And that's when you're going to start seeing breakthroughs and you're going to start seeing results. And you're right that going to the same workout over and over and over again, it might make you feel pretty secure as an athlete, but it's probably not going to challenge you as an athlete. Mm-hmm. And that's when I saw my biggest body transformation. Going back to that law enforcement, I never knew what we were going to do that day.
Yep.
So I didn't have a choice. If they said we were running, we were running. If they said we were climbing walls, we were climbing walls. And even though mentally I never, really came to rest on my workouts, physically, I was always challenged. And that's when you see that body transformation. And I think that's why we're seeing it so much at UFC. There's a big, diverse selection of things that you can get into.
Diversity in our workouts, and even the same trainer. If you take the same trainer,
right,
you're gonna find out that they're very diversified in how they train every single day.
Absolutely.
Like you never do the same workout twice in my class in a week.
No.
Although I had body parts I'm going to be hitting, the workouts are very, very different.
My personality changes depending on what I'm teaching. That's what I hear a lot. I hear, from one group of people, wow, you're very scary and very intense. And then the next group of people say, wow, you are so chill. You should teach yoga. And they're both me. It just depends on what we're doing.
That's cute.
And I always tell people, my energy and my intensity, it's not directed at you. It is for you to pull from. I bring all that energy and all that intensity and I put it in the middle of the room so that when you get tired and you can't figure out where you're going to get the energy from, you can grab it from me. You can say, gosh, I'm tired, but that lady's hyper. I'm going to borrow some of her energy and get through this.
There you go.
So,
see, and I love that. That's it. We're all so different. Yeah, I kind of, with I'm more the be in the moment. Let's do this. I know you can, and I kind of go against what everyone else says when I will tell people, get out of your head. When you're working out, I don't want you in your head at all. I want you to be in your body. Because so many times our head gets in the way of what our body can truly do on its own.
That is so true.
So I always tell everyone, I don't want you, because everyone, they'll say, get focused. I always say, I don't want you to focus. I want you to actually stop thinking and let your body do what it's meant to do.
Yeah.
And it's going to carry you a lot farther. So, so we all have our own little ways of encouraging and lifting up and getting you motivated. So that's the beauty of this gym. And there's so many when you walk in the door, there's one of our members right there walking by. When you walk in the door, you're going to find out that it's actually the way it's put together and sequences a beautiful gym as well.
I think, there are two aspects of what I do that make me really proud. I'm a female striking coach. That means I teach people how to fight, how to kick, how to punch, how to beat something, maybe somebody, how to beat something up. And it's kind of rare for a female to do that. It's kind of hard to come by. I love that. But I also love how approachable our gym is. That you don't have to be a fighter to work out here. And you don't have to walk in feeling like you're not on the same page as everybody else there. All you have to do is be intense.
We're all on different pages.
Yeah, have a goal and want it. Yeah. And that's it. There are a lot of different approaches. You bring so much positivity and so much education and such a ladylike feel to the gym that as soon as you came in, I was like, that's what we needed.
A woman's touch.
A woman's touch.
I know we have one woman.
And the intelligence that goes with it. And it's really neat when people come in and see that this is not a beat 'em up, throw them down on the ground, intimidate you until you can't take it anymore kind of gym. That the fighting is definitely an aspect and it's very empowering, but it's not the only aspect of what we do.
No, absolutely. And on that note, that's a perfect note. We're going to take a break here. This is Ellen Como on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.